how do you get to that point where you actually know, okay, well, okay, this is what I love, right? Everybody wants to do what they love, but not everybody can do that. A lot of people are working jobs they don't enjoy, but you got to find, how do you monetize from that? And it's a very hard dichotomy there, because not all the time is it a high paying career or whatever the case is. How do you manage all four?
You know, it's interesting. So I think depending on what level of freedom you want, and I say that because you can go the gig economy route, which is you work for yourself, or you go the corporate route, which creates a little more stability and more money up front. When you work for yourself, you've got no cap on how much you can make longer term. So I think it depends on your personal priorities. But if you're a high school senior and you have no clue what to do, first thing I'd say is put your phone down, put the Xbox controller down, and go out into the world and get inspired a little bit. You know, talk to people about their passions. Reach out to people on LinkedIn. There's no, not that I know of, there's a minimum age to be on LinkedIn. Something that I was going to talk about later is reach out to people, get to know what they do. If it sounds like an interesting title, ask them what they do in their day-to-day. What are the most important aspects of their job? I did that. I reached out to, when I was in college, trying to figure out, do I want to be pre-med like my parents want me to? Can I pull it off? I can't pull it off. I reached out to like 100 people. I talked to a guy from Minnesota. Random as hell, right? He studied industrial organizational psychology, a specific sliver within that world of psychology. It's ultimately what I ended up studying, and partially it's because I reached out to him. He's like, I get to work with people. I get to help businesses run more efficiently. I get to improve the employee experience, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And I was like, wow, he's making an impact. He's making a great living, and he enjoys when he wakes up in the morning. What else? You know, we talk about it every day, you know? What else do you want? So
That's interesting, because I always say, talk to everybody. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know where it's going to lead to. And this is a perfect example of what you just said, where you talked to this guy from Minnesota and then it ended up shaping what you did for life, right? Mm-hmm. Now, based on that, we're in a world where we're becoming more technology dependent. Everybody's on their phones. They don't even see the person in front of them, which is, it can be good, but it can also be bad. And you talked about reach out to people on LinkedIn, but you're also saying talk in person. So we're in an age where I feel like talking to a person is kind of dying, and people want to they'd rather send a text than make a phone call. Yeah. And how do you balance that? Do you think it is dying? And how do people maintain those skills, or how do they get better social skills? And do you think business is actually changing where it's no longer in-person meetings, it's no longer in-person calls, it's more just online, LinkedIn, whatever the case is?
yeah, I mean, look, I think like anything in life, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Whatever it is that you're not good at, but you feel the need to do it or get to a certain point, you got to lean into it. So what do I mean by that? I used to suck at public speaking, man. I would have note cards and I would write verbatim what I want to say, and I would still be nervous and screw up what I want to say. My knees are buckling. My face is turning Sweating. As burgundy as this suit. No. Everything looked like it was just nerve-wracking. I would hear kids sometimes be like, oh, man, he's nervous. He's a little nervous. And what did I do in college? I took a public speaking class, and there were two options, and I have a point. You could do it in a class where it's you solo present or in a group. What do you think is easier?
I'd rather solo present.
I'd
rather, because
agreed.
I do love groups, but what I've noticed is when it comes to groups, especially in a university, not everybody's on the same page. And when you're in a group and you're just standing there and someone else is talking and everybody has their turn to talk, you talk for 5 minutes, the rest of the class, nobody's like, you're really not saying anything, and you're just standing there awkwardly. Whereas once you get through the presentation and you're in the motion, it all goes out the window. You forget. Exactly. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, Well, I was gonna say, like, if I'm nervous, I suck at presenting by myself. The easier route is present it with other people because you might lean on them to take the pressure off the eyeballs
Of course.
in the classroom. So I did what you said. I took the solo route because I
It's a
had
harder
to
route.
challenge myself. I sucked the first couple presentations. Point being, I got to a point where I was doing okay. I was comfortable. I didn't need note cards. I could talk to people. It became conversational. And for people that want to build social skills, use LinkedIn, use social media when it's an opportunity to connect with people and have conversations. But don't endlessly scroll on TikTok and Twitter and
Doom scroll.
Instagram, doom scroll. They call it brain rot when you do it too long. Challenge yourself. Put yourself in settings where you do have to talk. Have you ever heard of Toastmasters?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So Toastmasters is like a nonprofit that helps people build public speaking skills. It's just one example. There's a lot of different social skills. That's one example where the whole purpose is we're going to help you get better at being comfortable on stage in front of people, talking about something. So if there's someone out there listening, there's Toastmaster chapters everywhere. If you want to do it, all different age ranges, people of different backgrounds, walks of life, that's one way. You got to force yourself to be uncomfortable and do it. And I was going to talk about this a little later, but I just want to tease it. 70% of skills today, job responsibilities today, are going to be automated by 2027.
Artificial intelligence.
AI, machine learning, other advanced technologies. 30% of what's being done today is still going to be relevant in the workplace.
So when it comes to that, what do you think that does for the future of the economy and jobs? What do you think it does for normal people's everyday life? I mean, if many jobs are going to be taken away, how are people going to pay for bills? It's a whole cause and effect chain. But what do you think of that state of our economy going forward?
Yeah, well, let me ask you a question before I answer that.
Please.
When people talk about AI and all this stuff, what do you think people's main concern is when they think about their own future, career-wise?
For career-wise,
Yeah,
their jobs are going to be taken.
exactly.
Of course.
Exactly. They think, I'm not going to have a job,
Yeah.
or there aren't going to be jobs out there for me because everything's going to be taken up.
By robots, this.
And that's not the case. Our population is only growing, and if you think the U.S. is going to let itself get to a point where unemployment skyrockets, it's not going to happen. My opinion, jobs are going to change, and so you're going to have to change. Jobs are going to be less about the mundane administrative tasks. Think about any mundane task that you do in your day-to-day that's admin related, paperwork related. Take that out of the picture. That stuff is going to be done. It's going to be automated. A lot of that's already being done. Higher level work like that is also going to be done. But what can't be replaced by AI? What do you think can't be replaced by AI?
Customer service.
Customer service.
Human interaction, emotional.
Exactly. The soft skills. Empathy, emotional intelligence, collaboration, the ability to have a conscience, the ability. We're humans, we have conscience. AI, all that
You
stuff.
feel.
Yeah. And so to me, for those that are nervous, look at it as an opportunity to say, how do I build off of my soft skills or build more soft skills so that I'm ready for the future economy when it's less about doing administrative tasks and more about critical thinking, strategic thinking, working with people across different departments to achieve whatever the goal is of your company.